Enjoy the show.
Hello, evening, lads. Slight change to the lineup. Jamie, we got you back.
Dale, Jamie. Well, I've been called a lot worse, apart from Jamie.
Mate, I hadn't got my notes or anything on the other screen. I was panicking and gone, "Oh Jesus, haven't got anything." So, and I'm quite organised. How are you, Del? You all right?
Oh, not bad, mate. Not bad. It was good to see you boys again on Saturday. It's obviously we'll touch on that in a moment, but yeah, it felt like an eternity, didn't it, since we were last at the Emirates?
Cheers on the beers, yeah.
Yeah, zero. I'm on the zeros. Got to look after yourself. Responsible drinking and all that. Drink responsibly.
Yeah, you have to talk to us. I've done it over the summer. I've done like 2.5 months of no booze and stuff like that. But what's it like? I've done it a few times as well with football. What did you think about going to football with no beer?
It's different. It's certainly a different experience. My tolerance levels were a lot lower than what they normally are. For those that have been on Block 5, they'll understand that when everyone's gathered in the middle, you don't normally notice the people barging past behind you, but all of a sudden I noticed every elbow, every leg movement, everything, and my fuse became quite shorter that day. But I got through it. So let's see how we go for this Saturday.
Alex, hopefully you get more opportunity to talk tonight, because I know when we done last week's show, because we've done the European tour, and it was Trevor and Dan. It was almost a Trevor and Dan show for the first 20-25 minutes. I even sent you a message going, "Mate, I'm really sorry. I just realised you hadn't hardly spoke for 20 minutes. How are you, mate?"
I'm good. My cold is gone now, so didn't really mind not speaking too much last week, because I mean my voice was still a bit on the low, but I'm back now, and yeah, excited for tonight's podcast.
Yeah, Trevor, we had we met up early, and we had eggs Benedict in King's Cross, followed by a libation. And yeah, Leanne, I have got a cold. I've got man flu. You won't understand it. You know, women talk about, you know, childbirth and pains and people losing limbs and stuff like that. You know, when you got man flu, it's just dreadful. Trevor, you'll understand that.
Leanne, don't mention it anymore, because you'll do our Reds in all night tonight. Yeah? He hasn't got real man flu. He's just got a poor substitute. So he's fine, Leanne. Don't keep giving him sympathy, because he'll do our Reds in.
Trevor, I'll talk about the early start, but I love the background that you've got with all your Ruth Becks and your heritage photographs, and Donna's done a fantastic job. But hey,
I know. I'm so jealous of Mr. Ramsdale being on your wall. That is superb, in fairness, and it fits that space wonderfully. Yeah, brilliant, Ferg. I'm really pleased you've got it. Listen, right though, this is Guns and Yellow Ribbons, isn't it? Right, we've got to be serious tonight. We've got to be serious for a minute. This is a podcast where we all go to games, and we all know about the Arsenal, and we all know who we're playing next week, and we've been abroad, and we've been here, and we've been there, and we ain't in it to make no money. We ain't in it to make no clicks. We're just here to talk about the Arsenal and have a laugh, right? So here we are, 7:00 on a Monday night, our normal slot, just about to hopefully have a laugh, and it'll really make me look my night if we have that laugh at Fergus's expense. Come on.
Hey, listen, generally you do. Listen, I even prepared tonight, because normally you people will know from regular viewers at 45 minutes at my age and stuff like that, I need to take a little wander sometimes. And I prepared this time. I made sure just before we went live, I made sure I just had a little tinkle to make sure I didn't need to go again. So listen, we're going to go and talk about the Leicester game. The Leicester game where myself and Trev got a cab up from King's Cross after having our eggs Benedict. Then we are 11:07 heading to the pub. We're in the pub by about...
I've just had a message off your missus. She said, "Can I please not make you rush again, because she's just had to wipe the seat, the dirty sod." So,
poor Jackie.
Next time you go, can you sort yourself out, please, Ferg? Poor Jackie, you've made a mess. Now,
well, The problem was I was getting serenaded. Because I had my earphones in, and knowing that we're going live in a second, I was getting serenaded with this.
Come on and shake it on any now, shake it on any, twist and shout, twist and shout.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
It was, listen, I had jobs to do outside. It was raining, so I was bored this afternoon. So I had a little play around with some filters, and that was one of the results.
It was.
I love it. Sometimes you just randomly get videos of Trev that's found some obscure filter on Snapchat, and he'll send the weirdest videos in our little group chat.
Yeah, but he meant to send them to Donna. That's the thing. That was the mistake that he made. He sent that one. You know that one, Dale. You remember that one, don't you? They will have to go on Twitter one day. Listen, Chan sent us a few photographs through. Sadly, some of them are just too good quality for me to download them in time and share them with us. There was some really good ones. There was the flag for Gabriel, and there was brilliant flag here, this Arsenal flag that Chan had organised for people and took some great photographs. But the photo, the photo of the season is this one here. Trevor, you don't need to say nothing. This needs to go in for a award. Chan, if you're watching, you need to enter this into something for awards. That is just demonstrates what a football fan is doing when they're standing there enjoying the moment, enjoying the time. They're there at their, as I said on Twitter, their place of worship. Dale, what a photograph.
It looks like, you say, a place of worship. It looks like put that photo back up again. It looks like there's a beaming light coming down on Trev's face from above. It's that's a cracking photo, but I don't, like I say, I mean, I wasn't really paying much attention because I was stone cold sober, so I was nowhere near all that lot this week. But yeah, great photo, hell of a photo.
Alex, we've seen Chan's work, but this has got to be entered into something, hasn't it?
I reckon you're only saying that because you're in the background, aren't you?
Oh, of course. So that's what makes the photograph. That's where the beam of light is shining, you know.
No, it's a brilliant picture.
I know Sean's watching, and I know Sean's watching. Thanks for taking that, Sean. But can you get me best side next time, please? That's not my best side, mate. Just
Jesus Christ, he needs a bigger lens than that, then, Trev.
And look who else is on here as well. Look, Arnie. We met Arnie at the weekend. He was over from Iceland for the game. Lovely to meet you, mate, and your lovely missus. And hope you had a great day. You went early so you could get down the stadium. It was lovely to meet you, Arnie.
He did send me a photograph. He met all the players beforehand. And he got a lovely photograph with Nigel Winterburn. I haven't got it, unfortunately, because it's stuck in another program. But no, it was brilliant. I was really delighted you had a good time, and good luck in the new house. And I can't wait to see photos of your Arsenal room. Will you have an Aaron Ramsdale?
From the stadium?
From the stadium. I have to thank my brother for that one. A long story, but yeah. Right, 4-2 Arsenal. Let's look at the lineups. Alex, talking to you about the lineups first of all. Same starting lineup as we had last week at Man City away, wasn't it? Yes, same starting lineup. Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori, Rice, Partey, Trossard, Saka, Martinelli, and Havertz. What did you make of no changes? Did you see were there any changes that you may have wanted to make?
I think like the only one that was like a doubt was whether Ben White was going to be fit and ready, and then would he start Ben White? But obviously he wasn't even in the squad, so I think the 11 kind of picked itself. I think Jesus is still getting up to fitness, and then Trossard has been playing well. I think Martinelli's been playing well as well. He just needed that goal to gain some confidence, and luckily he did get that in the game. So I think right now the squad, that was the strongest 11 he could put out. Next week we'll have to see with Marino potentially being back. How will that sort of alter our starting 11? Will he bring him in and drop Partey and play Rice as a 6? But I think for now and for the game against Leicester, it was pretty obvious, the starting lineup.
Dale, what did you make of the lineup? You've been sober and everything else. You must have been pleased with it. Did you like Alex think that maybe Ben White would have got a run out? Take yourself off mute, mate.
Sorry, I was doing my best Trev impression. Now he's on mute as well. Now I was intrigued to see kind of what the situation with Ben White was, and I'm still intrigued to see going forward. I mean, with the injury that supposedly has been picked up by Calafiori, will that make a difference going forward? Who knows? But I think the rest of the team kind of picked itself, truth be told. I think you're right with Jesus. I don't think he's quite to full fitness yet. I think, which is a shame, because I think that game would have suited Jesus. I really do. I'd like to have seen him get a bit more, a few more minutes, but it wasn't to be. I think going forward, we will do that against the likes of Southampton. But yeah, the squad selection was pretty much everything I thought it'd be. Just a big shout whilst I'm here to the Peterborough Gooners. I'm seeing more and more of you guys on here each week, so you're not going to notice. Thank you.
It's great. It's great to see more and more people do following us. We've got 129 people watching us now across myself and Trev's Twitter and on YouTube. If you're on Twitter, you can add questions to the chat as well, just like a normal tweet. Or if not, jump over onto YouTube, click like and subscribe, and join the chat with everybody else, and we can have your opinions. Trevor, Calafiori and Timber at the back, left and right back. Ben White injured. Can you see with the performance of Calafiori, and we know that he could have gone for a second yellow. We'll talk about that, I'm sure, throughout the podcast. But can you see Ben White getting back into this side when those two have just been so outstanding?
Yeah. Well, this sounds a really strange thing to say, but I hope Ben White has been injured, and I hope the club, will be honest enough to tell us if there'd just been a rotation. But to be honest with you, Ferg, when I looked what we had, the defenders we had available at the start of the season, I thought, well, we can't improve our defence. I know people talk about the left-hand side, but we had plenty of cover on the left if we needed it. And I thought, well, we've got the best defence in the league. I'm really happy with that. And looking at the last couple of games, you've got to be fair and honest. Arteta has managed to improve it again. Took it to another level. I mean, Timber and Calafiori, wow, they just look absolutely superb on the ball. And I don't know who you play, because I really rate Ben White, but I really rated Ramsdale. So I say it every week, but I mean it when I say it every week. Just going to have to put my faith in Mikel Arteta, because I don't know how he picks all these players and keeps them all happy. We've got some real quality. We've got 5 or 6 players of the very highest quality that are looking for 4 places in the defence. So someone's got to miss out. But that defence against Leicester, yeah, we gave away 2 goals. We'll talk about them shortly. But wow, I just loved what I saw. I love the time that Timber makes on the ball, and the skill he's got with the ball at his feet. Calafiori just strolls around the field like he bosses the place already, just looks class and has hit the ground running. He looks confident from the start. So yeah, I'm a bit wondering who plays and who don't, what happens, who goes here and who goes there. But what a problem to have, Fergie. What a problem to have.
It's absolutely amazing. Like, if you go back and you just have to look up north in Manchester and look at what Ten Hag is doing. And, we had a great manager in Arsene Wenger, and then Unai Emery took over, and he had his difficulties along the way. And then we had Arteta step into the breach, and how much he's brought this club along. Between some of the work that Unai done, but 90% of it, I think, is all down to Arteta. And you look at what's being done in similar time frames of United, and it's great to see. Great to see that we have such a young, enthusiastic, and passionate team that actually want to play for the team and want to play for the fans. I know I've got this up here. He's no longer with us anymore, and I know, but he was a key part of what was happening in that stadium when Aaron Ramsdale used to engage with the fans and have a bit of a laugh and a banter, and other players are getting involved. And Calafiori looks like that. I've already seen him do some stuff on Twitter, where he's digging out opposing players out and stuff like that. It's brilliant. But look, first 19 minutes of the game was all pressure by Arsenal, and I was a bit worried, Alex, that we weren't going to capitalize, and it just looked like it was going to be one of those games that their keeper, which because he played in Denmark, for me, he was probably the man of the match because he had an outstanding game, particularly in the second half. But he had a good start to the first half until this man came through. He hasn't scored in, I think, this year. I think his first goal
since March. He hasn't scored since March. Yeah.
So Martinelli, I was absolutely delighted for Martinelli to get his goal. What did you make of his goal?
Yeah, I think if there was one person in our team that needed a goal, it was probably Martinelli, because he's lost his confidence over the past 6 months, and I think he's actually played all right against Manchester City, and like in the opening games, you could see like he's starting to play better. He just needed that goal because every time he went through, I think he had a big chance before he scored the first goal as well, where you just could see like his lack of confidence, where he was almost it was like he had too much time to think about it. And when you don't have like a lot of confidence, that will always like sort of impact your decision making in those like big moments. So yeah, I was super thrilled for him and good build up to the goal as well. Saka playing through Timber on the right hand side, and then the cross in, and I actually think it was quite a difficult finish. You sort of have to go back a bit and then shoot it into the left corner. Like across his body.
Yeah.
So yeah, difficult finish and just massive for his confidence, Martinelli. And I think we took control off the game straight away. But yeah, it was a bit of a worrying sign that we missed so many chances. So to get the first goal and sort of make them come forward a bit, even though they didn't really, because they only had Jamie Vardy like up near our side of the pitch.
Yeah,
and then
it was
10
5 at the back and 5 at the back, 4 in the midfield. Yeah, so it was dreadful. Trevor, Arteta could have dropped Martinelli when he was available. He rotated him with Trossard at times, and he's tried starting Trossard and then starting Martinelli, but he stuck with him, and he's got the best, and it's finally come good. Is this hopefully the moment that Martinelli now kicks on and goes into the Champions League on Tuesday, which we'll talk about, and then on into the remaining 5 games that we've got upcoming as well?
Well, look, right, I can say it now with hindsight, people will say, but I don't think Martinelli had done anything really to warrant getting dropped. He just had a bit of a bad phase of putting the ball in the net. His effort levels have been right up there. He's been making ground. He's been getting himself on the ball a lot. He's just not been putting the ball in the net. And I saw his finish on Saturday slightly differently to the way Alex did. I thought he scuffed it a bit off his heel and it slid in the corner, but I couldn't give a damn. Give a damn. What the boy needed was a goal, right? And he's got that goal. And that we all know what a goal does to a player like that. He'll be back next week, absolutely buzzing. As for the Trossard Martinelli thing, I think it's a theme we're going to see all season, Ferg. I think we're going to see Trossard start some games. We're going to see Martinelli start other games, and they are both massively useful in that position. I think Trossard's a bit more useful in the middle, if I'm honest. But yeah, I can't pick between them. Love them both. Want to see them both getting games.
Dale, just finishing up on the Martinelli thing before we move on to Trossard a bit more. As Leanne said, it was an ugly goal, but Trevor came along and said he didn't see an issue so much with Martinelli. I think I'd said to you guys on here, even pre-season, his head, he just didn't look happy. His head didn't seem in the game, and that goal hopefully will kick him on.
Oh, sorry, I froze then. I missed that last part.
You were shocked. You were shocked by my statement.
What he said was, Dal, you're doing me head in. Can you hurry up and talk about Martinelli, please?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, I know. You should have said. But now I've got to disagree with Trev where I say there was no concern. I thought he historically for us, as part of his game, has been putting the ball in the back of the net. And we've always said before about spreading the goals across not just one player through the middle, but across a variety of players. I think last season we had 5+ scoring 10+ goals, the same as the season before. So I do think we do miss those goals, especially when there's times when, like for example, Saturday, we were knocking on the door for a significant amount of time. Walking down to the ground, you may remember we had a conversation on that corner opposite the chip shop where we were talking about being a world-class team, I still do think we lack that out-and-out 20+ a season goal scorer. I really do. But Martinelli, I think that goal was going to spur him on. With Southampton up next, I'd expect him to start in that as well. I'd like to see him get another goal against Southampton, and that will be really good for his confidence in the run-up to the Liverpool game in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, no, I agree. Actually, that's interesting. You mentioned that little video clip. We've done about 5-10 minute chat on the walk down Gillespie Road, and the statement. Yeah, you don't remember, of course. The statement that Dan came out with was he feels we're the best team in Europe. I thought it was still a strong statement. And listen, let's hope. You know, he was right on Raya, despite what some people on Twitter tonight say. He was right on Raya. Let's hope he's right on the European team. Trossard, 45 minutes. Go on.
The thing is, right, I remember Dan. Of course, I remember. I remember Dan saying it. I remember at the time thinking, "Wow, that's a massive statement, Dan." But look, going back to last season, right? We could have progressed further in the Champions League. You know,
Yeah.
We lost by the odd goal to Bayern Munich, who are known as being one of the best sides in Europe, right up there. And a change of luck was all it was in this beating, or maybe a little bit more confidence, being as we're quite new to the Champions League, would have seen us put Bayern Munich to bed easily last year, but we didn't. So we go into this year's Champions League, but the important thing is, not only do we go in with a better squad, with slightly better players in areas, we go in with more experience in the Champions League up our sleeves. And I think that's going to be massive. And I can't disagree with Dan. If he wants to say we're the best team in Europe, good luck to him. You can make a case for it, you know.
Yeah, I think the statement is strong still, because until we win the European, the Champions League, I don't think we can say that. But we're definitely up there in the elite sides of Europe. 45 minutes in, just before halftime, Trossard puts a goal in to double our lead. I had said to Dan, who was trespassing in block 5 as usual, I said to him, we need 2 goals to go in at halftime. I felt comfortable at halftime. I thought, here we go, we are going to score 4 goals, because I predicted 4-0 against Leicester at the start of the game. Adam, is Dan serving suspension tonight? Yeah, he is. Just you know, it's the thing you need to do, because otherwise his head gets so big. We put the cap on there to try and reduce the swelling, but you know, his head just gets so big and his ego gets so big that we do actually have to bench him every now and then. But
hang on a second, Ferg. On that, you were talking on Saturday when everyone kept coming up to you and shaking your hand and going, "Oh, I'm having to stop for loads of pictures. Everyone keeps asking me for loads of pictures." You felt like some sort of mini celebrity, didn't you?
No.
Come on, own up.
hang on. We do get it quite a few times. Me and Trev were having breakfast in Wetherspoons in Euston Station, and a Norwegian chap, really pleasant guy, came up and said, "Hey, is that Hilsey and Fergus, your Guns and Yellow Ribbons?" And went, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, brilliant. You know, another one of our Norwegian friends, and this and that. I'm over from Norway. I really like what you're doing on the podcast. Oh, thank you very much. Oh, do you mind to get a photograph?" So it does happen. But yeah, with Dan, you just need to control him, because you know what his ego's like. He's just ridiculous. Absolutely. No pics of me tomorrow. Adam, yeah, you see what you do. The second half, we went into there. I was confident that we were going to score 4 goals.
Should we talk about the Trossard goal?
You can, yeah, go ahead.
Trossard again.
Ole, ole. I mean, it was kind of a similar goal to the first one, wasn't it? Cut back into the box, and then we just know Trossard, he's the best finisher. That's a statement as well. I think he's the best finisher in our squad.
Agree.
In our squad, yes. I thought you were going to say more than our squad. I thought you were going to incorporate other squads.
I'm not like Dan.
Yeah.
He's starting to make a habit of scoring some important goals. He's our Mr. Trossard, and long may it continue. Long may it continue.
So, Trevor, do you prefer Trossard coming on, or do you prefer Trossard starting?
Couldn't care less, really. I think he's worth a starting place. But then I could probably make a case for saying about 13 of our players worth a starting place. So someone's got to miss out. But yeah, I don't mind where he plays. He started at the weekend and he absolutely didn't let us down, did he? And, you know, it's just his attitude. You get the feeling when Trossard gets the ball in that certain areas, in that inside right or inside left position where he floats, you've got a feeling he's going to put it away at the moment. He's in a bit of a vein of form, and long may it continue. He can start for me. I would have no complaints whatsoever in him starting. Well, I'd rather see him start at the moment than Jesus for sure. Yeah, because I think Jesus has still got work to do on his fitness and getting back into shape. Nwaneri is pushing for a place, as he showed at the way we'll talk about in a minute. He showed on Saturday. Wow is the only word to sum up that boy's cameo performance. So Nwaneri is going to be pushing for a start. You know, Sterling has just joined the club, came on. You could see his effort levels are really high. He wants to be out there playing for the Arsenal. You could make a case for him starting. Ferg, you could make a case for about 6 or 7 of them starting for the Arsenal up in the forward third of the field, and you couldn't argue with any of it, mate.
Alex, if okay, whilst Odegaard is out injured, I think Trossard has an argument for him to start. But as a preference, would you have Trossard or Martinelli starting in that berth, or even Sterling, and then bringing Trossard on? Which is your preferred?
It's actually so difficult because Martinelli's just coming into form now, and we've seen like his ceiling. We know how good he can be. He scored 15 goals in a season a couple of years ago when he was our top scorer. But Trossard, like he's just so important for us at the moment. And as you said, he scores important goals. And I actually wanted to ask you a question. Do you think he's Arteta's best signing in the time he's been here? Trossard, considering the money we paid for him.
No, because I'll let Dale answer that because he was a huge advocate of it. I think the best signing that Arteta has made is probably either David Raya or Declan Rice for me. But I think he's a huge signing, and considering what we were fishing around and looking at, I think it's an absolute bargain. Odegaard, yeah, good shout, Chan. Odegaard is probably the best signing. But Dale, you were
the same money, yeah.
You were shouting out from the rooftops 6 months before anybody even linked Trossard to Arsenal, and it was like, who was he at Brighton?
Yeah. He was one of those players where you just I don't know what it was. There was just something about him. Every time you see, I wasn't following Brighton in any way, shape, or form, but you just kept seeing his name pop up, and he was doing the same thing for Brighton, important goals at important times of the season. And he was exactly what we needed with his work rate, his finishing ability. They were talking about him on TalkSport the other day, actually. They described Trossard as being Arsenal's best finisher, as we've just said there. Very, very similar to when you look at the Liverpool squad. Jota is probably their best finisher, but he's not the kind of big name that everyone raves and talks about. Trossard is very much in that mould, and his finishing ability is unreal. One of the things that I thought really worked in his favour, in particular on Saturday, were the diagonals. I don't know if you guys picked up on the diagonal balls that were coming from the fullback positions across the pitch. We were pinging balls 50, 60 yards. Unbelievable balls. And he's got the brain and the ability to pick those balls, to see those balls and either run onto it or run into space knowing that somebody else is getting onto that ball. He's got a brain. To have a brain like Trossard's got with the ability as well. You don't see very, very many players like that. You really don't.
Trev, bring up that stat again, hint it up, and go through that stat there. So Arsenal players' goals and assists per 90 minutes since 22-23 season in all competitions. Minutes of 500 minutes played. Number 1 is Trossard at 0.782. Number 2 is Saka, 0.723. Jesus is 694. Havertz, Martinelli, and Odegaard at 0.52. Goals and assists. So, you know what? As much as we say for bang for buck, and you probably have a good point there, Alex, in saying that Trossard, if you're looking at goals as a measurement, maybe looking at, players and quality and impact, the Odegaard, the Rices, the Rayas, but hey, it goes right back to what Trevor said at the beginning. What a bloody position we're in. We're talking about all these great players, and they all play for our club. It's absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Into the second half, Leicester came out, and they came out really invigorated. I don't know what Steve Cooper said to them, but he's under a lot of pressure at the minute. Within a minute of the second half starting, James Justin saw a deflected header hit the back of the net. I think it came off Havertz's shoulder, And okay, that can happen, but the pressure kept on coming from Leicester, and their keeper kept them in the game hugely as well. But we have to give credit again to James Justin for the 63-minute volley, which connected with a superb volley and hit the back of the net. Trevor, talk to me about Leicester's fight back and how well they were. Look, we had them dead and buried in the first half, but credit where credit is due. They've done well.
No, folk, I disagree, son. You had a bit of a contradiction in terms there. You said that Leicester came out and put the pressure on the Arsenal, and their keeper kept him in the game. So it's one or the other, right? It's one or the other.
Well, it was both.
I honestly think that from minute 1 to minute 90, the Arsenal were clearly the better side. We had the ball for so much possession. We had 17 corners to their 0 corners. We had so many shots on target, and they came out for the second half, got a free kick that was deflected in, and it was one of them deflections that's really unlucky because it wasn't a deflection from distance. It was a deflection right in front of Raya. You know what I mean? So Raya's got no chance. They happen twice a season, right? Them deflections like that happen twice a season, and Leicester got a lucky one against us at the weekend, right? And then we carry on and we're picking up again. You look at the highlights. We're going forward again. And then Leicester get a break up the field, as all teams do. And they score a worldie, an absolute world-class finish. Once again, world-class finishes like that happen about twice a season against you. And that came in that game, That fullback ain't going to hit another one that sweetly for another 6 months, right? And we copped it. Other than that, mate, we're the best side by a country mile, and it was just one of them days. And I've not even got a problem with it. I had a problem up until about the 94th minute, but they happen. These days happen. They got a lucky deflection and they got a world-class finish, and them things happen very, very rarely, and they both happened to us at the weekend. Otherwise, we win that game 5-6-0.
Well, Trevor's got a point, because at no point did I feel too worried. I never felt, whilst they did come out and they did get those 2 goals back, and I thought their keeper was really good and they did put us under some sort of pressure. I still think that, I think even Match Today might have even said it, or somewhere on Talk Sport, Arsenal just found a way to win. You could see they were not giving up 90 minutes in, and they were still playing like it was, the beginning of the first half.
Agreed. And
you were the sober man.
At no point did I think we were going to not win that game. At 2-0, we were cruising, we were comfortable. At 2-2, I still thought we'd win that game. I think everybody sat around me in Block 8 as well. We were all under the same impression. We were going to win that game. We just simply had too much going forward for them. They could not cope with us. The 2 goals, as Trevor said, they happen, right? We just had 2 happen in the same game, unfortunately. Other than that, they offered 0 threat at all. Absolutely nothing. I was not concerned in the slightest, especially when you look at what we had coming off the bench. We were talking recently about Nwaneri. We were talking, obviously, we've got Sterling coming off the bench as well, Jesus. We had plenty of attacking threat on the bench. Just so we needed that extra bit of buzz. We got it if needed. I touched earlier on the fact that I thought that game was for Jesus. I really did. I didn't think that was a Kai Havertz type of game in the end. I really didn't. I thought Jesus' style of play and the way he sits on that last man, although offside quite a bit, that game was more suited to Jesus. I think if we'd have had a fully fit Jesus ahead of Havertz, I think that game finishes before it does. Not taking anything away from Havertz. I just think that game suited Jesus better.
I think Havertz's work rate throughout every game for us is just outstanding. And, the player that none of us thought we bought from Chelsea, the player that was a shell of himself, is an absolute man mountain in red and white. Alex, talk to us about Leicester's player of the match, Mad Hermansen, Danish keeper. You used to watch him play for your local Danish team.
Yeah, he used to play for Brøndby, where he came through the youth ranks and quickly became their number 1 goalkeeper in a young age, and was one of their record sales when he got sold to Leicester a couple of years ago. And I think he was their player of the season in the Championship last season as well. So he's clearly got some talent, and he was outstanding in that game. Usually he's kind of known for his play with his feet, his good distribution, but Saturday was all about his shot stopping, and he made the most saves in a game since 2017 in the Premier League when we played Manchester United, and David De Gea had an insane game as well. So we seem to get quite unlucky sometimes at home against teams where their goalkeeper just have an incredible game. But yeah, he definitely kept them in the game. I think we created enough chances for it to end 4-5-0. As Trev said, their goals were kind of fluky, like the way they happened. We sort of just lost concentration. I think Saliba just lost concentration in the beginning of the first half, where he just lost Vardy, and he committed a foul on him, and he got a yellow card as well. And we just knows that free kicks close to the box, to our area, it can cause some weird, strange things, and it did with the deflection and then the volley, which was like crazy. He's gonna hit that one out of 100 times. He's probably never gonna hit one sweeter in his career again. So, but yeah, it felt like one of those games last season or the season before. It just seems like sometimes at home we sort of lose concentration defensively a little bit, and we just seem to concede a bit more at home than we do away, where we seem to be able to concentrate for the full 90 minutes away rather than at home.
That's interesting you say that, because before we go into the last injury time minutes, there was a few incidents in this game where it did appear that it's lack of discipline, lack of concentration, lack of something. I can't put my finger on it. But Calafiori, as we mentioned earlier, he should have gone for a second yellow card offence. I can't recall the first one, so where I can with Trossard at City, but I can't recall the first one in particular.
Stopping a break as well.
Okay, but the players, Trossard at City, Calafiori, other players, that the need somebody needs to grab hold of them and say, look, if you're on a yellow card, you need to be a bit more careful. Del, what was your view on the how lucky Calafiori was? Because if that player didn't come up and simulate to give a yellow card, I think Calafiori is probably getting a yellow card, and he's probably going to offer a second red, where the attention was pulled away from him.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think straight away when I see the opposition that he's got Buonanotte, whatever his name is, he's chucking his hands out like that automatically took everything away from what the actual foul. Because that was it. Let's face it, that's a yellow card, right? Like yourself, I don't remember the first one. I really don't. But I thought the referee was a bit too card happy, if I'm honest, in the game on Saturday. I didn't think it was a great refereeing performance at all. And for once, I think the referees have actually done us a favour there. Or maybe that Buonanotte has done us a favour. Because that for me would it was a yellow card. And we couldn't have argued the case if he was given that second yellow.
Trevor, do you think I've got a point about the concentration levels and just the discipline, or just attention to detail is probably more about it, because we are excellent, but it's just that those finer moments.
I think that we need to be more careful because of the way referees have been interpreting the way we play football and chucking yellow cards at us. Got to be careful with my words here, because last week Calafiori would have gone, right? I know this week he hasn't gone. As that referee today, I mean, it probably hasn't happened, but all sorts of things start going around your head. Has that referee been told on Saturday not to chuck yellow cards at Arsenal players because we've got the bad end of the wedge to the previous 2 weeks? I don't know, but he wasn't consistent because people have been being sent off for what Calafiori did, but he didn't get sent off. And when we looked at the other games that were played across the country, and yesterday with Fernandez, who I can't stand, by the way, and you sort of understand the ref, because yesterday when Fernandez made that tackle, you thought, oh, that's nasty. But when you watch the replay, you thought, hang on a minute, he's just brushed down his shin. He's not hurt him. But it didn't go to VAR. There's so many inconsistencies. But we're not here to talk about referees, are we, at the moment? The only thing I'll say is, Dermot Gallagher, you don't give reason. You don't give explanations. You just give excuses every week. You do, Dermot Gallagher. You're a sad shame of a man. Shame on you, Dermot Gallagher, for taking our money from Sky TV and not having the bottle to say it is, it is. You're just like the rest of them, sticking up for your own, making excuses. We don't pay you our Sky subscription to make excuses, Dermot. We pay you our Sky subscription to tell us how it is as an expert. Grow some balls, Gallagher. Say how it is or get off our telly. Anyway, going back to the game, I can't move on from what Dal said about Havertz, right? I can't move on because I had my doubts when Havertz first came. Some people did, some people didn't. But what I have noticed, right? What I have noticed is that Havertz does something that none of our other forward players can do. All of our forward players are much of a like this, apart from Havertz. Havertz has got the size, he's got the strength, he's got the aerial presence to move defenders and worry defenders in different ways, right? And that is why yesterday at the end of the game, Trossard had been subbed off, Partey had been subbed off, Martinelli had been subbed off, but Havertz was still on the field. Because I think I know and I see what Arteta thinks maybe that Havertz just puts a different perspective on our forward line. I'm not saying he's ideal, Dal. I'm not saying he's perfect, but he does put a different perspective on our
Trev, is he our Giroud, our modern day Giroud? Because he's just like that hard one to mark and work, and Giroud ran like a chicken,
I don't think he's as good as Giroud, to be honest. I really don't, but I think he can get there. He doesn't strike you as being a very self-confident lad, Havertz. As you look at when he scored his first goal, he had to be pushed over, and that's probably a reflection on how he's treated at Chelsea, and it's still rubbing off. But I think we've got a fine player in Havertz, much like we've got several fine players.
Completely agree, Trev. I mean, let's not mix this up. I'm not saying I don't rate Havertz at all. I'm just saying that game later on in the game, I think it was the perfect time for Jesus. I think the game suited him more running in behind that Leicester back line. That's all I was saying. But there was one moment of Havertz which we haven't really spoke about, to be fair. It's one of the moments where their keeper made an absolute fantastic save last minute when Havertz had his back to goal, flicked the ball up and kind of turned and hit it on a volley. If that had gone in, we'd been waxing lyrical about that.
90 minutes passed, and Trossard managed to bundle in it was the one that turned the tie and got us into a winning position again. 96 minutes afterwards, Havertz netted a ball from a counter-attack, but there was quite a lot of time wasted on VAR. Alex, talk to me about Excuse me. Sorry,
dirty scruffer.
I couldn't get to mute in time. I couldn't see with my eyes.
Couldn't get to the tissues either, could you? Wash your hands.
So far tonight, he's made a mess on the toilet seat and a mess on his computer screen.
Well, listen, it's almost perfect timing. It's 45 minutes. I do have to go and get tissue for my hands. I am listening. Have a talk about Trossard and Havertz goals, guys.
I mean, I think we all felt it was coming towards the end, and we've done it so many times, especially at home. We all remember the Bournemouth one in particular, and I think with the amount of corners we had throughout the game, it was bound to happen that we were going to score from a corner kick. I think, was it 17 we had throughout the game? Something like that. And yeah, I mean, it just had to happen in the end. We came close a couple of times. Calafiori had a massive header, great save again by their keeper. And then this time, I feel like it was kind of a similar goal to the one Declan Rice scored at home against Manchester United last season, where like far back post, Rice had time to bring it down and shoot towards goal. This time, I can't remember if he hit it first time, Trossard. I think he did. And then, yeah, we got really, really lucky. Hit Ndidi and went through the legs of the goalkeeper. But I think it was deserved, the little bit of luck we got there, because we'd been banging on their door for the whole game. So I think that's what you get when you keep on knocking on the door. You get that little bit of luck that Trossard got.
Alex, do you know what, right? Oh, sorry, Ferg, I didn't see you was back there, mate.
I am.
Do you know what, mate? I've watched the game back and I've watched our moves from corners, and I thought we moved it up another level against Leicester because we lined up in the same formation as we have been doing against other teams. Gabriel out on the penalty spot, and sometimes Leicester was single play marking him, sometimes they were double teaming him. But we didn't keep putting it to the back post. We dropped one or two on the front post. Gabriel was unlucky to not get on the front on the end of one of them. We dropped a couple on the goalkeeper. And then just before that one that went over the back to Trossard, we had exactly the same penalty move, And Trossard knocked it back in and it deflected again, but it just missed. It went the wrong side of the post, Next penalty that side, exactly the same again. And this time they've made the space further back. Where we've been sort of bullying space onto the far post, we sort of made space 2 yards beyond the far post. It was excellent because when we lined up, I've watched it back 2 or 3 times today. We kept setting up in exactly the same way, but they didn't know what we were going to do. We had half a dozen moves at our disposal, and very clever, the penalties, and fully deserved that. Called it a deflected goal. Of course it was a deflected goal, but a well-worked deflected goal, yeah? And fully deserved.
Trev,
fully deserved.
I love that you call them penalties, because it does feel like penalties sometimes when we get a corner.
There's almost that expectation, isn't there, that we're going to score? And
yeah,
you notice that around you now as well. People are talking around you on the ground. Gabriel, back post, Saliba, front post, whatever it's going to be.
Did I call them penalties, did I?
Yeah, twice.
But they're as good as penalties, though, aren't they? Sky Sports mentioned it as well, saying every time Arsenal get a corner these days, it's almost like getting a penalty.
The missus let me have a few Haribos tonight, and I think the colouring's gone to my head. I'm a bit giddy.
That was Havertz's 50th Premier League goal involvement. 35 goals, 15 assists. 24 of these have come in 43 games for Arsenal compared to 26 and 91 games for Chelsea. The guy has definitely found his home, hasn't he?
Definitely, yeah. Definitely. Yeah. I think we could all see he had his head down a bit when he came to Arsenal, and few of the fans weren't convinced. But I think it just took that goal against Bournemouth was it where he got the penalty off Odegaard, and from there, with his chant, I think all the fans sort of got behind him, started understanding what he does, his movement in the final third, the way he works hard, even though he looks quite lethargic sometimes. He works hard. He wins duels. Then he started scoring as well towards the end of last season. And luckily, he's continued that scoring form into the start of this season. He's on 4 goals now. He's a brilliant player. And I think he'll just keep on adding to his game. And I think it's weird because his finishing is weird sometimes. He'll score like crazy, difficult finishes, and then he'll miss like the open sitters at times. So I think when he sort of gets that clinical finish on, because I think he will at some point, I'm sure he'll score over 20 goals. And I mean, he's on 4 goals now already at this point in the season. I think he could get to 20 goals in all competitions this season.
Look at the difference when he's playing for Chelsea compared to look at the difference when he's playing for us. He's got a smile on his face. At Chelsea, it was about big players and big egos. Arteta got rid of that a long time ago. Now it's a team. We've got a team spirit, and he's had an arm put around him, and he feels.
That was where I was. That's where I was calling about earlier about said Martinelli, like not doubting his ability or anything like that, but he just didn't seem like he was playing football with that smile on his face that he was talking about. So it's a huge thing when like all of us, if you're happy at work, it makes your job an awful lot easier rather than having the stress that you've got on top of it. We had 16 shots on target in that match, the joint highest record since 2003-2004 in a single Premier League game. We had 16 against Blackburn in 2009 and Manchester United in December 2017. The stats are unreal, as you said before, Trevor. 75% possession, 36 shots on goal, 16 on target, 10 off target, 10 block shots. It's just it was men and boys, but you have to give some credit to Leicester the way they did try and come back into the game and did what they've done. But I think I penned them as one of the ones to go down, but that was on the back of that they'll probably get a points deduction, which they haven't had. Our next 5 games coming up are PSG, Southampton at home, Bournemouth away, Shakhtar Donetsk at home, and Liverpool at home. Let's talk about PSG first of all. Trevor, tomorrow night we return to the Champions League action. On Tuesday, it's on Amazon Prime as well for the opening game at the Emirates. in this competition. Yes, we played at Atalanta. Arsenal are unbeaten in the previous 4 meetings at PSG, winning 1 and drawing 3. So what are you expecting tomorrow for this game? Much changes in the lineup, and who do you fear from PSG?
No, I think that Arteta will, fingers crossed, hopefully go in with his very strongest available side. Whoever he thinks that exactly is, I'm not sure, but I'm hoping he'll go in strong. We've drawn the first game away in this European Super League. We've drawn the first game away. Drawing at home again wouldn't be the end of the world, far from it, but it would be nice to get a win on the board in that league. It would be nice to get up and running. I think if you win your home games, you're going to be pretty sure of going through in a good position. So it's important for me that we win. I didn't know any of the Paris Saint-Germain players. You know what? I'm like Ferg. I'm old. I'm senile. I don't give a flying toss. But I have read today that some bloke called Dembele is dropped because he's had a fallout handbags with the manager. So he's not travelled. He's not playing. I've heard he's one of their good players. Apart from that, and this is just backing up what we talked about with Dan earlier, I'm not worried because I don't fear anyone with this current Arsenal team. I know that on our night will be anybody, and I mean anybody. So yeah, bring them on, bring PSG on, put a strong side out. God, pray we get a win and we get off a winning run in that European Super League, and we're off. So yeah, I can't mention the PSG players because I don't know them. For that's our Alex's ground, isn't it?
I'll tell you what is interesting though with PSG players. There's only 3 players that have ever played for both PSG and Arsenal. The governor, Mikel Arteta, Nicolas Anelka, and Lassana Diarra are the 3 players that played for both PSG and Arsenal. So there you go. You got some facts. Alex, fill us in on who to watch out for in this PSG game. Hang on, he wants to talk now.
Heath, are you not listening to us? I've just spoken about them booting one of their players into touch for this game. Come on, Heath. I love you, man, but listen to what I'm saying. Come on, pal.
He's just on a bit of a delay. Nothing more than
that. Yeah, he's calling out our audience. That's really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, PSG, I think when you've spoken about PSG for the last 10, 15 years, it's always been these like massive players, Zlatan, Messi, Neymar, Mbappe, Di Maria. They've always had these massive names, and I think now they've had a Mikel Arteta, Lassana Diarra. No, but they've had a bit of a rebuild since Mbappe left last or this summer, and they've got a more youthful squad now. They haven't got all these big players anymore. They've still got a bit of routine with Marquinhos at the back, but otherwise it's quite a young squad. So I think it's going to be difficult for them coming to a big ground like ours tomorrow, and I think we're going to be the more experienced side. Like in the game tomorrow, they've got some good players. Luckily, Dembele isn't going to be one of those playing tomorrow. One of their other youngsters who's been doing well is Bradley Barcola on the wing, and then they've got Randall Kolomuani as well up top. They're probably like the most dangerous offensive players, and then they've got, I think he's 18 years old in the midfield, Warren Zaïre-Emery, who's a good player, along with João Neves, who they bought for 70, 80 million. But they're young players, and they're not very experienced in the Champions League. So I think we can rattle them tomorrow if we get the atmosphere going. Recommendation: everyone get into the ground early, build up the atmosphere. And I saw the Ashburton Army called out to everyone bring their scarves to the ground and help create the atmosphere, because we're going to need it tomorrow. And I think it will make a massive difference against a young PSG side.
That's a huge shout. The North London Forever when the scarves are up on an evening kickoff is brilliant. Dale, I know you struggle with the Champions League games in midweek with work commitments and everything else, but I think you're coming to this one, aren't you?
I was, but sadly not anymore.
Okay,
yeah,
mate,
it's
I
one
could
of
have
them.
had your tickets.
It was only a few days ago, so it was a bit last minute. But unfortunately, I won't be there. But I'm similar to Trevor in this one. I could only name a couple of PSG players. Truth be told, one thing we were talking about earlier about goalkeepers with Leicester. One thing I do know is they've got one hell of a goalkeeper in Donnarumma. So
I'm not sure if he's going to be playing actually.
Even better if he's not, because he's
Yeah.
a cracker. But other than that, I think we've got more than enough to take this game to him. I would put us down as quite heavy favourites, truth be told, which is a hard thing to say against the pot one team in the Champions League. But Arsenal at home in the Champions League are a different kettle of fish to Arsenal away.
Trevor, this is going to be our probably our toughest, definitely at home, our toughest opponent that we're going to be playing at home in the Champions League. Maybe Inter Milan away is a tougher tie overall. What's your final thoughts on this? Because we are going to go to close, and your idea for prediction on this one. Not that this counts for the prediction league.
Yeah, listen, mate, I've got to speak more from heart than head on this one because I don't know. We should beat PSG, shouldn't we? So, I think we'll probably get off to a flyer and win 2 or 3-0 and get our first win on the board in that European Super League, and then we're off and flying. And Kevin Butler's in and now on the head here. PSG are a very good side. French nucleus of players now, and as young Alex says, but it's far from a walkover. Yeah, but they are French players, young players, and the French league has never been traditionally as strong as a few other European leagues, has it? I think that's why PSG have never won the Champions League, because they don't play that high standard football every week, you know. But I think what Ferg, my heart says we're going to beat PSG tomorrow. We're going to get off to a flyer in our home games, and hopefully we can go away to, is it Genoa, last game of the series, and think we don't care what we do because we're in that top. What do we have to be in the top 8? Is it, Ferg, mate?
It's the top 8, and they reckon 15 points will get you there. So we've got 1 point in the bag with the away when we have to win. In my opinion, we have to win all our home games. That gives us 12 points. So that's what would put us on 13 points, and we can afford to lose 1 and draw 2, or lose 2 and draw 1 and win 1.
But we'll still
away from home.
We'll still be playing for seeding towards the final games, even though if we have enough to be in the top 8.
Is it the top 4 play the bottom 4? Is that how it's done then, Alex?
No, is it not the top 8 is automatic qualification and but 16 going to playoff?
But then the next game, it's seeded the top 8.
Yes, correct. Yeah, correct.
So I mean, you'd rather have first than 8th.
Yeah. Listen, I'm quite confident that we can be in that top 8. I think it's key that we are, so we avoid, especially with having extra games in February. A 2-legged playoff in February for 16 to 24. The only great thing I think about this, the Europa League as well, is that if 9 to 24 play off and you lose, you're out. So I think that's great. It doesn't devalue the competition below by putting in, more superior. Well, it's a matter of view, but like superior opposition into a more inferior competition. So, but what that does mean for the likes of who's in the Europa League, then Tottenham and the others, it does put them in a stronger position, and they could actually go a distance and fuck up, So that's what we expect.
Language.
It's Tottenham.
Wash your mouth out, will you? You see, the only thing that worries me, and it's worried me for about the last 50 years of my life, Ferg, boys, is that we always seem to find a way to underperform in Europe at some stage. We always seem to do it. We're a better side than we've been in Europe for years and years and years, but we find ourselves a way of getting ourselves in trouble. And hopefully this season that doesn't happen. We drew a real good one, and I can see us winning the first ever European Super League. How's that?
What's your prediction for tomorrow then, Trev? What are we saying? What do you think?
I think we'll win 2 or 3-0, Dale.
Ferg?
I'm with Trevor. I think it's 2-0.
Alex?
2-0.
Arsenal previous home game against
3.
French opposition side was a 6-0 win over Lens. And we're 4-0 up after 27 minutes. It's the biggest ever win we've had over an English team has had over a French opposition in a European competition. Could we do better than 6?
I think that's stretching it a bit.
Let's not go too far, but do you remember this time last year? Can I ask? Do you remember this time last year? We were going. It was our first European European home game back at the Emirates. Do you remember against PSV? We went out all guns blazing. We battered them 4-0. Do not be surprised if we repeat that same performance.
Yeah. Listen, and then on Saturday we've got Southampton. We will do a preview show probably Thursday, depending on my voice and my nose. I might actually have to plan. What have we got here? And let me have a look. I might have to plan another tactical sneeze at 45 minutes because I think that's absolutely brilliant. The dark arts is what it's all about these days, So thank you, Dan, and thank you, Fraser, on Twitter. You are one. Can you just leave it alone?
Well, hang on a minute.
Thank you. Hang on. Thank you, Fraser, on Twitter. You're one of the few that have engaged with a comment on Twitter. So if you are on Twitter, you can join in the conversation as well. But do go over to YouTube and like and subscribe what we do. Go on then, old woman. What you want?
No, Ferg, no. Listen, it's a really important point that we've not mentioned. Are you going to take that post off or not?
No, you can. You put on the other one then. Go on.
No, I'm not touching it now. It's really important, right? And we haven't mentioned him yet. That we've just got to take 2 minutes to talk about the impact of young Nwaneri when he came on, right?
Oh yeah, you're huge.
Look, all the star players we've got, not all of them can do it, but he lifted the crowd when he came on again. I mean, the crowd was already excited, right?
He lifted the team as well, Trevor. I thought they were getting a bit frustrated.
Yeah. Listen, we're 2-2. We're pressing to win the game. We're the far superior side. And unlike Man City fans last week, most of us stayed till the end, okay? We weren't walking out and then leaving our team in the lurch. And then when Nwaneri comes on, he has a run with a ball at his feet and he lifts that crowd even more. It was tension. There was, and when we scored the goal, I thought it was more relief than a celebration, as it should be. It was a relief by the fans because we'd won a game that we knew we should have won, that we were scared we weren't going to get the 3 points. So it was massive relief. But Nwaneri, when he come on, the skill with the ball at his feet, and immediately his first input is to have a shot at goal and bring a save out of the goalkeeper. He's 17. You know what I mean? I spoke about Saka like this, didn't we? We've got another lad coming through on our hands. We've got another young one.
Without we've already overrun anyway, but without overrunning too much. But Del and Alex and also Trev, do you think this guy is better than the Fabregases, the Sakas, those sort of players? Because I think his impact on the pitch, his presence on the pitch, is as big as his stature for a young lad.
I think it's unfair to make any comparisons. He isn't Fabregas. He isn't anybody. He is Ethan Nwaneri. He's going to bring his own flair, his own skill, his own passion to that team like nobody else can. He brings his own thing. When he took that shot the other day, he took on 2 or 3 of their players and put it in the bottom left-hand corner. Their keeper just got down. If that had gone in, that stadium would absolutely erupted, and we would be going mental about this kid. I don't want to overhype him because I know he's got such incredible talent. I do think he's going to be a star. We saw that in pre-season, right? He played in the tour in the States. He played against Bolton the other night, and he come on and he showed he could do it in the Premier League as well. I expect to see a lot of this kid this season. I really do, and I think he's got a hell of a future. But I don't like to see comparisons against other players at the minute.
Go on.
Yeah, I think I agree with what you said. Like, he is Ethan Nwaneri, and you can't really compare him to Fabregas and Saka. But I think you can compare the way he plays with bravery and the way he's just not phased about the occasion and playing in the first team. And I think usually when you see youngsters come in, they're sort of afraid to make any mistakes, and they just, like, play the easy option and don't take any chances. But I mean, as you said, like, he came on, took 2-3 men on straight away and had a shot on goal. Like he doesn't care. Like he's not phased about anything. Like the confidence he plays with is amazing. I think we'll see him start a game in the near future, especially with Odegaard being out at the moment. So I wouldn't be surprised if Arteta started him against Southampton next weekend in a game that will probably be quite similar to the Leicester game, where we'll have the ball a lot and need to create something against a low block. So it might be too soon for him, but I wouldn't be surprised if he started soon because it seems like Arteta has faith in him as well.
No, I think he's going to get more and more time, and I think he's going to be eased in nicely. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Southampton on Saturday. We will talk about it in more detail on Thursday, but I'm expecting a good victory there. I'm also expecting a good welcome for this guy. But I'll tell you who has been warmly welcomed into the Arsenal favourite. We've been a couple of songs going around about him, but I do love this chant for our Italian stallion. Here we go. Trevor, you heard this going in Block 5 on Saturday. What did you make of it?
I think it's crap, absolute crap. But then that's only because I know Dan's watching, and I know he's going to be biting now. Here he goes. He's in the chat already.
You're fantastico.
He's caught.
He's on, straight on. No, listen, brilliant. It's great, and you could see straight away that boy needs a chant. As I said, I'm recapping. I know I said earlier in the show. You could just ooze his quality. He oozes confidence. He's got them big long legs, and he strides around, and we've got yet another header of the ball that can score a goal. We were a proper threat already from set pieces, but he's just improved it. He's improved our set piece threat. Unbelievable. And Dan, you know me too well, son.
Right, boys, that's us. That's us done. Thank you, as always, everybody, for your input. I'll see you tomorrow, Trev, Dan in the chat, and everybody else in the chat. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll get some noise going. Block 5, if you get in there, it's we're going to get in there just before 7, so that we get that good 45 minutes beforehand. We're just going to have this for you, Trev. I do love that. Never in the background.
It's wonderful. It just never fails to melt you, does it? That song. It just perfect for us. Perfect for our football club. Just before we go, don't forget, right? Please don't forget. Dermot Gallagher is robbing a living. Start earning your money on Sky Gallagher. Start earning your money. Anyway, up the Arsenal. We're going to win tomorrow.
Thanks for listening to Guns and Yellow Ribbons, an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. Follow us on Facebook at Guns and Yellow Ribbons or Twitter at Guns and Ribbons. And remember to rate and review us too. Up the Arsenal.
And if you're still watching, come over to YouTube, like and subscribe. We'd love you to do it.